Okay, I have to, before I can share, I have to change it first. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so I just summarized the chapter 9 we are reading this week. At the beginning, the book talk about the design. It's about composing assemblies. And so we basically make elements and make connections and unify the relationship to create this unified whole. And there's different strategy we can use to create this relationship, to create the compound function assembly pattern system and as a whole. And then they use this museum as example. Actually use some pictures. We went to the De Young Art Museum in San Francisco as example. So when we're viewing the art piece, is the viewing and experience, there's two parts of it. And we have to put the art piece together, they work together, then they have to arrange the art piece in a physical space, the architecture. This building is designed by Herzog, very famous architect from North Europe. And this architecture is so successful because they not only put all this artwork together, they also bring in nature at the slavery of the buildings. So you can see the art piece, you can see outside too. So it's quite amazing. And my favorite spot actually is here. After you're working through all the pieces, you can sit here and look out. These are my kids. So you can look out at the sculpture garden and see the nature on the background. The way this whole experience, how they integrate the art, the architecture, the nature, and people's experience all together is just a great example about this design composition assembly. So design is about individual element. Compositional assembly, you use similar or contract, use different way to assemble them, create this relationship, create these connections, then you create this whole. This whole will become easily comprehensible and then create some meaning for the people who actually look at it or use it. So then they talk about the compositional assembly is not just a pattern of parts, not just put all the things together. They create new qualities. I use this ring screen assembly as example. In architecture, we use ring screen. So you can see there's different materials. And there's panels create this beautiful facade. Then there's insulations and there's waterproofing. And there's a membrane to prevent moisture. So there's all these things work together, create this perfect ring screen assembly as example, how this assembly works. So by put all these things together, they create a new character, a new qualities, new experience. That's how this composition assembly works. And they're also talking about when we design, we have to accept restrictions, and we don't come at the problem with a predetermined outcome. We have to constantly examine and challenge our previous decisions. What can be done, what should be done, and what do we want to be done? And we make the judgment between all these desires, and we find adequate, just like many people mentioned, adequate but not perfect solution. There's never a perfect solution. I think that's like anything in real life. In real life, there's no perfect solution. Only in academia, we have this exact answer. So we get this holistic outcome response to clients' intention and the reality of particular context. Create this ultimate particular that's not universal or general. That means every design is very unique. So since there's no standard universal solution, then why we study the past cases? So this explains the point of case study. So I use this Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water as example. I'm not sure everybody knows about this building. This is one of the most famous buildings. So Frank Lloyd Wright created this villa. So the client have this lot with this falling water, and he actually put the building on top of the water. So, and he created all these horizontal slabs as decks and houses. So his client can stay there and listen to the water. It's the way they look at the water, they integrate it in the environment and be part of the environment is quite amazing. And the reason we study the past case study is because we can understand how they, dealing with the unique design situation, make the judgment and the final outcome. We can see what is possible. This helps the designer to develop this sensibility and appreciation of the design process. Just like when we do drawing, we study masterpiece, how master drawing these people. So it's not like we will draw like the master always. We have to find our own style eventually, but it's through learning the process help us to create this sensibility, understanding. So design is relate and connect. We have to make judgment to bring things together, and it's appropriate to a particular condition and intention. So this makes design not just only architecture design, also apply to other public policies, education program, all the other things that in life, all related to design. Oh, sorry. Then we talk about, then the book talk about design process, from not knowing, understanding to wisdom. It's like alchemy process. And there's a common between the design process and alchemy process is like, they're all restrictions. When you're doing the alchemy, you need pressure, you need limited space. In design too, as a designer, we all know, actually, the harder design, there's no limitation. So when you have a lot of restriction, usually those restrictions create new inspiration. When you creatively solve all these challenges, then you find this aha moment. Then you find this solution, then they solve all the problems. I think a lot of people experience that in different part of life. You're looking for the answer, you try different things, then suddenly you get these things, then it works for all the problems. It's quite amazing. So all these designs start with, they mentioned about Pati, the seed of design solution. It's kind of work in the subconscious and conscious level. Between those is with imagination. So we start with the initial phase of subconscious, uncontrolled subconscious level. We create this Pati, very spontaneous. It's kind of inspiration. It's like the seed of all the ideas. Then after that, we develop that idea. It becomes more in the conscious level, in more controlled way to create this compositional assembly. This is more rely on our craft. That's what we learn in school, is how to, make our craft work better. They become a mature design concept, then become real and concrete particular. So I actually put one of my designs example. I'm not sure it's to example of the Pati, because I'm not sure everybody understands it. I designed a house in Redmond, and it's in a big land with a lot of trees. So I just have this idea. So there's birds on the branches. The bird look at different direction. I have this idea about, so I create this house. This is final result. So there's different roof pitch, and I can see the people actually in the house. They can look at different direction into the forest, like the bird perching on the branch. And also this kind of different pitch of roofs also create the higher volume of the roof that related to the master suite, the stairs, and other bedroom, other spaces. So it creates different function of the rooms. I think this is just maybe not the best example, but just try to explain what Pati, how that is bear and become concrete design in the end. So the emergence of Pati, mostly uncontrolled subconscious level. But the important that early Marissa and other people mentioned, with more training, you can be more intentional and more control of that process. You have more conscious involvement, and it happens more with higher quality and more frequent. So this called design skill. Design skills is a composition assembly developed to reflect. So how we develop our design skill, because we have to analyze early design, we critique existing design and show the alternative, learning the important design process. And we have to understand why behind each particular, how the detail integrate into the whole, and through the form appearance, they come together. That's why, in every study, we study the past, like the music, maybe for architecture, I put this picture of Frank Lloyd Wright. Frank Lloyd Wright created this architecture in Taliesin. And Frank Lloyd Wright actually is a drafter person. And he's the student of Sullivan. You all studied Sullivan, form follow function. And so that's why in the history, I always say the master students usually are masters. The reason why, because they have the secret. They see how the master works. They see how masters think and design. They observe the whole process, so they can learn the secret. So they can become master much easily. And the design skill is kind of, you have to envision what is not exist. You have to have imagination and creativity. That's how our right brain works. At the same time, you have to be pragmatic. You know what can be real, what is possible. So that's controlled part. That's our right brain. So it's that we mentioned earlier in the first chapter is about design, is about right brain, left brain work together. So we have to have critical thinking and also the synthetic thinking together. And so the design process is more, the later design process is more the controlled in the conscious level. And from the pate to final design form, from the promise to reality, from the fundamental design principle to the concrete design form. So the difference between the good and bad design is your intention. You need to have intentional underlying order and organization. You have to organize all these parts together with an intention. And the design form, there are design forms that the Christian mentioned, the book mentioned, and not designed, but by time. So I understand, just like Italy city, we see the city grow and it's organic, it looks beautiful, even though there's no master designer. I think maybe there's subconscious act behind this composition and they follow certain traditions. So in the end, the ultimate particular design has integrity and unity and become a great addition to the reality, real world. And then they mentioned about appearance versus essence. So there's different level of appearance. There's a superficial level, which is style and fashion. There's next level is the true nature of a person. It's character, soul, spirit, essence of a person. I think it's like architecture, any other design, like human. It's a reflection of human, basically. So there's appearance and there's essence. And I actually put these two pictures together. The top one is by Frank Gehry. It's very flamboyant. It's beautiful forms. And then the below is Louis Kahn's Salt Lake City, which is highly regarded in the architecture field. They create this stark spiritual space. There's nothing on the courtyard. They take out all the trees and just look into the sea. This is where the scientists do all the research in the brain. So they create this great space for the scientists who can stay there and think, who can connect to the something bigger than themselves. So the compositional assembly have different level of appearance and experience. It's both connect to our sense with color, material, and contrast, and our emotion and spirit with space and lighting. So the dimension about different style of experience, style and fashion include there's a design principle Bauhaus school. I'm not sure everybody knows. Started modern design in Germany, and then there's some associated with culture like Japanese style. Then there's a different social system like communism, capitalism, and tectonic design. Like internet, they said it's not assembled, it's not assembly or composed. And I think that's maybe the problem with this internet and our current problem we have in society. So compositional assembly, you have to have skill and grace, sense of wholeness, and make it comprehensible. And every detail is contribute to the whole. And with the design's purpose and function serve the design purpose and function, that's an architectonic design. So architectonically, the design, the whole, the detail and the whole, the relationship is like the detail have to be part of the whole. And there's order and organization between all the details. If there's no such organizational order, then we will be lost in this complexity of crisis. So the systematic approach is very important with organizing and order the design logic. So we can create this complex organization, but not confused and get lost. And I wonder, this is current problem with all the information we have. It's all the details, but we don't have system or whole. That's why we are kind of lost in today's society. Also, we have to understand the reason behind the impression. So they mentioned about the different kind of measurement of designs with critique. So not just aesthetic, but also ethical. So it's reminded me about the architectural world. Actually, recent year before, they all like the most expensive house will win the award because they have crafted all the beautiful details. But now we have more other kind of house, like low-income house, which create beautifully and also solve social problem. Because architecture not just aesthetic, there's other responsibility as well. So the real value of design determined by client's desire and architect's intention. And design become agent of influence and change, and they help to shape the world. Is a great responsibility and ongoingly create our new reality. So design is one most inspiring and rewarding activity we can imaginable. I totally agree with this because as one of the designer, I feel very happy every day to do something. I feel it's such an enjoyable process. So I gave these two examples, past and now, what we do with design. This is Gaudi's church, see how people create this imaginable, such a beautiful structure. And this Apple's headquarters, we visited, and how they try to connect with future, with this nature and future and technology. They transform our environment. I think it's quite inspiring. Thank you.